You live, you learn, you learn, you learn, you cry, you learn, you learn, you learn.
Love that song, dude.
Yeah.
Can't you tell?
It's on my karaoke list every time.
Dude, it is such a fucking tolerable song.
I recommend getting your heart travel on to anyone.
It is holler. You can just holler that song the whole time.
I feel free.
You scream that one time.
Swallow it down.
Stop, dude. Oh my god.
It feels so good. I don't know if I missed you or not now. Wait until the dust settles.
Okay.
All right.
I learned to never bring that song up ever again. That's what I lived and learned.
You called it hollerable, and then I just proceeded to holler it.
I've learned that when he's away from the mic for too long, this is what we get.
What else can I sing loudly for you guys?
It's all built up.
Yeah,
I got
built up.
It's pent up inside me. What do we do first? This guy?
Yeah,
Paranoia.
Paranoia.
Agende.
Paranoid Android.
Side note, respect for that video, kind of on brand. It's got anime titties.
Wait, I'm confused. What are you talking about?
The music video for Paranoid Android
Oh,
is
yeah,
all animated.
Yeah.
It's got titties.
It's got titums. It's got titums.
It's got Tims.
I like it.
I'm pro it.
I'm pro it.
I'm pro it.
Yeah. Anime Timties.
Tim T's.
Camel milk.
Bringing that back now, eh?
brought
One
up
day we're gonna
titties.
show up and we're gonna have it.
I will not drink it.
You'll drink it.
Come on,
Take a
you gotta
sip.
try it once.
I won't.
Just a little like mlem.
No,
Just
I
dip
will
your
not,
just
I will
dip
not,
your tongue in.
I will not mlem it.
Just dip your tongue in once. Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta try it once.
If you dip your tongue in, I'll drink from the glass you dipped your tongue in. And if you know anything about me and dairy,
I do.
that's a big fucking deal. Mlem.
All right, let's get this going. And welcome back to Anime Shmanime.
Thanks.
Look who's
Welcome back. Welcome back, Jordy.
Look who's back.
You're who we said that to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
our
welcome
Shweebs.
back to you guys who have been here more often than me.
Oh, thanks for welcoming them back, Jordy.
Yeah.
That's nice of you.
You know, gotta. You're welcome. You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Oh my God. So
It's good to have you, dude.
Jordy's
Thanks.
been away, if you
Yeah.
haven't noticed, for the last couple weeks.
Yeah, I should say I'm good. You know, everyone
Yeah.
says nice things.
We know
I'm
they
good.
are.
Just sometimes life throws
We
you a wild
know
card.
you are. We told
Yeah.
them you are.
Yeah, you're
Life throws you a wild
fine.
card. Is that what the way you say it?
I guess.
Life
To be
is
honest,
a wild card.
I'm just glad that this. I'm
that a song?
still glad that this podcast is still standing, having been without the star of the show.
I mean,
Oh,
clearly,
yeah,
quite clearly.
clearly.
for so many weeks.
I mean, hey,
It was a nice break, I'm not going to lie.
it was.
yeah, because you got to feel like the star for once.
Well, yeah, I got to
you.
say more than fucking 10 things the whole goddamn time.
Yeah, well, hey, I'm the Burt Kreischer of anime, so that tracks.
Yeah.
Well, we're back. We're back.
And you missed us.
And you missed us.
Admit it.
I did.
Yeah.
Yes.
I know that you guys may or may not have missed.
What
me.
are we covering, fools?
So we are doing Paranoia Agent.
Why'd you say it like that?
I really don't know.
Big pause.
I was trying to build up the suspense.
Paranoia
okay.
Agent.
Yeah. Paranoia
It's just-
Agent. Yes.
yeah.
And this one goes out to Frankfurt 20 on our Discord for
What's up, my
recommending
dude?
this one.
Frank. What's up, Frank?
Yeah.
Frank 4.
We go see what Frank's doing.
I really
Frank
hope I'm saying-
420?
Yeah, Frank 420.
Yo, hey,
Yeah.
Frank knows what's up.
Legalize it.
Yeah, hey.
Hey. Did you just say legalize it? Yeah. I'm pretty sure it's already legal here.
What are you, Ross Trent?
Hey, blaze it. 420.
Pass the Dutchie on the left-hand side. Okay.
Do you still do spoiler alerts?
Oh,
I don't know,
yeah,
it's been a
fuck,
while,
that's right.
guys. I don't
We
know.
do, but then also I think we forget sometimes.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert, we're going to spoil the fuck out of everything because we review this shit and we're going to go,
Yeah.
do all sorts of fun stuff,
'Kay.
especially if you're paranoid.
Ooh.
Good one, Mikey.
Fuck you. I know that was patronizing.
Okay, so Paranoia Agent is Magnolia meets Fight Club featuring the hockey demons from Dogma.
Demons from Dogma, dude.
Right?
Okay. Hold on,
Yeah,
hold
yeah.
on. To the three people out here
Who've seen
who
Magnolia?
got all of those references,
I was going to say,
high five.
yeah, you are just as old as us.
They're my people. Those are my people.
Because there is no way there is more than three of you out there who got all of what Jordy just said.
Have you seen
Yeah.
Magnolia, though?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
You get
I
it,
mean,
though?
Dogma 2 is like,
I do
from
get
early
it.
2000s?
Not as fresh as I want to get
Okay.
it, but yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's a bunch of like stories that are happening in and around each other, and
Yeah.
there's commonalities throughout them.
there's
And
some
then in the end,
concurrent
there's
shit.
this one big thing that
Yeah.
unites them all. Basically.
Yes.
Wait, is that what you were singing in Alanis Morissette earlier?
Why is she in that movie?
Dogma?
No. I know she's in Dogma. I thought we were talking about Magnolia.
No,
I know that's not why I was singing. It's because the Alanis Morissette is indeed timeless.
Heal it! Heal it!
Nope.
Okay.
So we're high.
Nope.
Nope. Just me.
Yeah. Stone cold sober. Still singing Alanis Morissette at the top of my lungs.
The
Yeah.
quiet one
I
who's
know.
keeping it together right
Yeah.
now.
I'm drinking Pedialytes.
Legalize it.
Me and Frank out here. What's up?
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway,
Okay, so I'll have some notes off the top about this show. It is clearly like an interesting take on the concept of mental health and how it affects people and trauma response,
Absolutely.
which is kind of interesting. Like Lil Slugger is definitely like a trauma manifestation,
Yep.
oh yeah,
right? And
Absolutely.
how, if left unchecked, it can knock you the fuck out quite literally
Yep.
with a baseball bat in the back of the head.
And how it has ripple effects.
For
and how
sure.
It affects more than just your own life.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you slowly start to learn as the show goes on that Maroney, that cute little fucking pink dog motherfucker, is kind of like a metaphor for self-medication,
Yes.
right? Which I thought was kind of interesting. But I do think that the concept like was too much. I think they tried to do too much with the concept of the show,
Bingo.
and it hurt it.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It was too much, man.
it's too much.
Yeah. Senpai we were having a conversation off screen.
I felt
about
like
this.
This was just too much Satoshi Kon being Satoshi Kon for one story.
It's like he
And-
had a bunch of ideas and was like, "How do I make these one idea?"
Well, it's funny you should say that. Let's get into Senpai's corner.
Okay, let's go.
Let's get into
Let's go straight
Senpai's
into
corner.
Senpai's corner
Okay.
with this one.
So, Paranoia Agent, as we just said, guys, this is made by the master Satoshi Kon.
Yeah.
We've covered Perfect Blue. That was one of our very earliest episodes,
Yeah.
and
Yep.
still today, to
Legends.
this day, ranks as one of our highest reviewed things we've ever covered unanimously amongst
Yeah.
all
Oh yeah.
three of us.
I mean,
Still-
we
that's,
all
that's
worship
a
that
classic.
movie.
100%.
Just even now, it's a classic where people in the anime community are still, referred back to it.
Absolutely.
I appoint people to that movie when they ask me like, "Hey, I don't know anything about anime. What should I watch?" I'm like,
100%.
"Watch that movie."
Yeah.
I would
Because it kind
recommend
of
it
bridges
to
the
anyone.
gap. It bridges the gap.
yeah.
If you're a fan of film, you need to see that movie.
Yeah.
Same thing can be said about his next film after Perfect Blue, which was Paprika, which we haven't covered yet, but we will. Millennium Actress after that.
That was another good one.
Tokyo Godfathers, which we did cover,
Yeah.
and we all kind of loved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
It was a Christmas
Yeah.
magic.
Yes.
Remember?
It's morbidly endearing.
That's right. That's right. So this was the follow-up to Tokyo Godfathers.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, the interesting thing about the creation of Paranoia Agent is that, unfortunately for our boy Satoshi Kon, he has too many ideas that he has the ability to actually put onto film. Okay.
Yeah.
He's got too much going on in the old brain.
Yeah.
And he was left
He's
with
got an OP brain.
he was left with a lot of leftover ideas after his previous films were done.
Yeah.
That he didn't have that he felt didn't have enough legs to get their own full film. but he didn't want to leave those ideas on the cutting room floor.
Okay.
So he
And hence.
literally decided to recycle those ideas into this series.
But why not make like an anthology of like great standalone like short
films
or
I don't
something?
fucking know, dude.
Because
maybe
that
it's,
would have been brilliant.
Maybe it's ego and hubris and somebody just thinking that they're capable of weaving all of these complex stories together in a way that feels cohesive.
Yeah.
And because it didn't to me, it felt very choppy throughout. And not only that, I think another issue that I had with this compared to Perfect Blue was, and again, it's too much, for one viewing, is with Perfect Blue, it didn't get really heady and trippy and psychological until the very end of the movie.
Yeah.
They ground you in this very real psychological thriller for 75% of that movie. And that way, when they flip it on its head and it gets psychological and cerebral and she's being chased through the streets by visions of herself.
Yeah.
It's like, this is crazy. Holy fuck, what's going on? And it's got that gut punch feel. Halfway through this series, when our Lil Slugger in custody gets murdered in his cell,
I'm like, what?
And now we've got Spirit Slugger going through walls, and people are now inhabiting these alternate realities.
Yeah, we're in a video game somehow or something.
Yeah,
to
that
me,
was weird.
We're LARPing.
This is what I'm saying, dude. To me, it jumped a shark into the cerebral and like the heady and the psychological too early.
Yeah.
So that everything that happened in the latter half of the show fell flat for me.
Yeah.
Because I'm already there. You've already convinced me that all of this can be psychologically manifested and that all of this could be in people's heads and that there are no rules anymore.
Yeah.
He introduced that notion too soon in the show for me. So that when you get revelations towards the end that are supposed to be gut punchy, I'm like, yeah, cool. I was already there.
Yeah, you already told me that more or less
earlier in the show. I was prepared for it to be a manifestation of her head, something that she had created herself.
Yeah.
That this Moromi doll was going to be evil. Like all these things.
Moromi doll wasn't evil. That was the most
she
like
did evil.
protective
No,
force.
but she did evil things. Like
yeah.
She was an antagonistic force at different points.
Yeah, I mean, it's like self-medication. It does the job, but then also it doesn't let you go.
It can hurt you, right? And that's and
it's just the Band-Aid.
Yeah,
but it was
exactly.
all of these psychological ideas that I think in a shorter series or saved further towards the end would have had a bigger impact on me.
Sure. Even string together in an anthology, okay, like have a commonality, a common theme, even a common character, but don't intersect them so often. Like that's where the Magnolia thing comes in. And I was like, I felt like it was detracting from opportunities to build growth for some of these main characters. The way that there was like so many stories interweaving all the time. I'm like, I'm not caring about any of this. You're not getting the talons in on any of these.
See, I kind of give. Well, first of all, it's hard to compare this to like Satoshi Kon's like magnus opus, right? Like Perfect Blue is
fair.
His magnus opus. Like that's just absolute genius. And now we knowing that this is just kind of like his, hey, I'm gonna have some fun with this because I like these ideas and let's see what happens, right? And also, I don't think he would have made an anthology series or even thought about it because back when this came out, their anthology series weren't really a big thing, especially in anime.
Okay, fair
right?
enough.
So you had the Animatrix at this point. That was a pretty big deal.
Yeah, but that was very heavily Western influenced, right?
I guess.
It's a Western franchise, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
right. So I could think that's the only one at the time.
yeah.
Like
It's a shame.
who else?
This could have been the first real big good one.
Memories.
Memories was another one, but
Yeah.
like it just wasn't like a popular idea by any means.
Fair enough.
But I also just think that like a director who maybe has granted a deserved ego wouldn't want to limit himself to that. You know what I mean? And I think that this is an example of somebody who really thought he could pull this off.
Yeah. I wonder if it was done. He went, I did it.
Or
Sometimes I wonder about that. You know what I mean?
Or he's like, "Fuck, I missed the mark."
Yeah.
Right? Like I tried, because I mean, he's still human, right? Like as much as we put him on a pedestal, like not everybody's gonna have a good movie or series by any means, and so like you got to take some of the bad stuff that they make or not the greatest stuff. Right.
I mean, every artist's work is a spectrum. You know what I mean? And there's a best and a worst. It's all subjective, but like, there's no one has all the best material. You know what I mean? Not one person.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's just you see a masterful director like Satoshi Kon. He's given a bigger budget and a longer runtime for a 13-episode series than he would have got for any one of his films.
Yeah.
He's given the flexibility, the time, the space, the freedom, and he couldn't show any restraint in that, I think, and that was to his detriment.
I actually feel like in a lot of ways too that this could have been a film. They could have boiled a lot of this down.
Yeah.
I said to Mikey before, I said I wanted this at 6 episodes.
Sure.
Yeah, if they did 6, 7 episodes, even pushing 8, it would have been much more concise and like I would have enjoyed it more.
6 episodes is almost a film though.
That's what I mean.
Yeah,
Runtime wise,
yeah.
it's similar.
Yeah,
Yeah,
similar.
That's comfortable to me, right? And obviously, you're gonna have to cut some of these storylines and some of these plot lines and stuff. But like
That would have been fine.
But that's what I mean. Like if you have that moment where like little Slugger in custody gets fucking killed in his cell, and then that's the turning point into this psychological trippy thing.
That should be second
Now
last
wrap
episode.
that up in 2 more episodes, and you got a fucking tight, excellent thriller. Because those first 4 or 5 episodes, I thought were captivating, man.
Yeah.
I really wanted to see where this shit was gonna go, and then halfway through the series, it just got so convoluted and heady that I was like out, man.
Actually, I was surprised how early they caught Little Slugger, right?
Too early,
Shown in
yeah.
bad, right? Like I was like, wow, like okay, where's this going afterwards? Right? Like, and it's but at the same time, I do find that you're right. Like it could be more concise. And I think also it is a product of the time in the way that the storytelling, because it's like it's too much of a slow burn.
Yeah.
But I do really like all those characters. Like I like some of them, and I even hate some of them in a good way, right? Like that cop with the daughter is a piece of shit.
Oh yeah.
Right. Like, and they're just like, holy
dude.
fuck.
We'll talk about that.
Yeah, he was
later
a
on.
piece of shit.
Yeah.
Right. But like, I
Yeah.
enjoyed the fact, or like even finding out, the kid's tutor is actually
A
this
sex worker, schizophrenic, multiple personality situation.
Right, like
That was
like
wild.
all these weird things
Yeah.
of like these interconnections.
Yeah.
But you could honestly put 2 of those stories in one episode.
You could, and they did eventually all come together. There were episodes where I think you were catching everybody's stories later on.
Yeah.
Something interesting that happened to me in my experience of watching this is I watched most of this like a long time ago.
Yeah.
Like maybe 2 months ago. And then went back and watched like the last 2 episodes. I thought I was done. And then when we were like, oh, we're recording, I was like, sweet, I'm already done. And I went to look, I was like, oh, fuck, I have 2 episodes left. And I went to watch one and I was like, oh, I have no idea what's happening. I forget everything went completely out of my brain, which says something. You know what I mean? That shit should be sinking in, especially when I only have 2 episodes left.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That being said, I was really grateful that I'm a person who has to take notes.
So you just went back
Because
in
I
your
just
notes.
went back and looked at my notes really quickly. And I was like, oh, yeah, I remember everything. And now I kind of want to make notes every time I watch everything. To be honest with you.
We broke you.
Yeah, that's kind of the best way to watch anything ever, if you want to remember it.
Yeah, no,
Oh my
I was enjoying the interconnectedness. I like the way that they pulled that off, where you get introduced to a seemingly very minor character in one episode, and then the very next episode you get to dive deeper into that little seemingly minor character, right? They introduce her as a tutor, and you can tell by her character design they definitely put a little more work into her.
She's going to be important to an
right?
extent,
But like you don't know what, right? So now you're hanging on to the next episode to be like, all right, what's her fucking story? You know?
Yeah.
And then sometimes you get that story, and sometimes it's intriguing and interesting, and other times it fell a little flat for me, some of the stories, right?
Yeah.
But I think ultimately you're not getting enough time with any of them to really care about those characters. Her story, the schizophrenic tutor and stuff, like, don't get me wrong, on paper, that's a horrifying life to be living and trials and tribulations to go through. But they didn't pull the emotion out of me through this show and the way that he handled it. It was too quick.
They kind of
and too
wrapped that all up
fast.
in one episode.
It just was moving
Yeah.
way
Yeah.
too quick for me to really have it sink in.
Yeah.
And then I was on to and then I was on to the next character that they were going
Yeah.
to connect this with.
Yeah.
And then I'm just moving and moving and moving, and I'm like, whoa, Satoshi. Normally I get to marinate in your stories. I get 75 to 80% of a film to think one thing, and then you give me that classic Satoshi Kon twist at the end, and it's beautiful.
And a couple of things to wonder about throughout.
This one, he's just like twist, 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 twist. Every fucking step of the way, he wanted to throw a twist at you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
but
it was
you-
like, this is
Now
losing
you're
its effect
saying
now.
that this is too much slow. No, now you're saying this is too fast through these characters when it was
There's too much
actually
going on. There's too much. That's what we said. There's
Yeah.
too much happening at once.
Yeah. They had to do
Yeah.
it fast like that because they had so much they were cramming in there.
But I think that, I actually didn't mind that. I thought they could have crammed it in a little bit more.
What?
Yeah.
Mikey wanted more.
Yeah, I wanted more because I wanted more faster, so that wasn't a slow burn. So I
You know
had
what?
more.
There's a show you might like. It's called The Tatami Galaxy.
Oh fuck
it's much
you!
quicker.
Fuck you! You know exactly.
it's much
Go
quicker.
fuck yourself, you piece of shit.
No, like I said, six
No.
6 episodes and cut half the storylines. And this is a much better watch.
I think this is his way with these characters, these side characters, of the ripple effect that you were talking about earlier, of how like one person's like crazy like ability to manifest these things out of trauma is affecting all the people that are around her, right? Like,
But I just think it didn't need to be 6 people that she affected. It could have been like 2 or 3, and I still would have felt the impact of that ripple.
Yeah.
And it would have wrapped up in 6 episodes instead of 13. And it wouldn't have been half the stories me not giving a shit about them.
so the only 2 people that I didn't want to care about it was the fucking news reporter and the kid. Like
The little kid with the rollerblades and his like nerdy
the
fat
superstar good at sports guy.
I couldn't give 2
Yeah,
shits
didn't
about
care
that fucking
either.
story.
Yeah, I didn't care about that either.
but like
Which one was the news reporter? I can't remember.
he's
that one.
that greasy, slimy dude. He looks like the frog
Oh
from
yeah,
the fucking.
yeah. I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
I didn't
actually,
care about him either. To be honest,
He was designed after a frog, and his name is actually it literally means frog. His name.
Oh, does it? Okay, cool.
very on the nose.
All
very on
the
the nose.
characters are actually named and designed after different animals.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Okay, but yeah, like I mean, I thought the Tudors story was really intriguing, like
Yeah, I like that one.
right, and then I thought the little girl and that shitty father was really intriguing
mean-
in a very bad way,
Yeah,
like
sure,
trauma
okay,
way.
Yeah.
It's just really fucked up, man.
was really fucked
it was
up,
really
yeah.
just fucked up.
Yeah.
Right, and then who else was there? It was,
The detective and his like partner both had interesting
Yeah.
stories as well too later on, and the little slugger, the IRL real little slugger.
yeah.
I didn't care about the IRL real little slugger.
No, I liked
Yeah.
it better when there was no IRL real little slugger.
Well, see, so when I first watched this and they caught Little Slugger,
Yeah.
up to that point, I thought it was just gonna be everything IRL, right?
Yeah.
I didn't think it was gonna be a weird like supernatural aspect of it. It was just gonna be all like thriller.
I did think that as well
detective.
too.
And
I did think that as well too.
And I was like, oh, I'm down for this.
But then we
right?
get to his episode and immediately we're like in a fantasy video game.
okay, so
It took a left fucking turn.
So I give that one
Immediately.
a pass. I can give that one a pass only because it's like age appropriate. He's a kid and
Sure.
he's talking to police officers and he's making up this crazy story
Yeah.
based on a video game because he doesn't know how to. Talk to police officers and why he's doing it, and they could have totally played it off like he's just
Yeah.
a crazy little kid.
He's mentally unwell.
No, obviously
That's the problem.
Yeah.
But then the part where it gets weird is then the detectives are then in the game and have costumes and see what he's seeing. And I'm like, hold on a second. What's happening here?
Oh yeah, but
Is
that's kind of like an anime thing because you can do flashbacks like
and
that.
that was
and-
him like kind of recounting everything that had happened up until that point,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
From his own perspective. And they were kind of just along for the ride,
Yeah.
following his story, but they were like in it with
Yeah.
him.
Yeah.
And it was
Yeah.
like an artistic expression of that, but like
But then as time went on, the one detective like kind of like takes on the
Stays in
persona.
it.
He stays in
Yeah.
it.
yeah.
But in a way that actually gets him where he needs to be in the end.
Yeah, but I still hated that.
Yeah, I'm agreeing that I kind of hated it.
Yeah.
Because the video game actually was the way to get to the end of the show.
Yes. But the young,
Yeah.
det-
You know
so
what I
the
mean?
young detective is the only one that was flexible enough and understood people enough to be able to do things like that, right? Because the older
Yeah.
detective is so stuck in his ways because he's just cops and robbers where things were simple back in the day. Where now
Yeah.
he's like actually like learning how to the nuances of interpersonal communication, right?
He also ends up in a different dimension. For
well,
record.
we find out that he's like the fucking
Everyone's
he
mentally
was-
unwell. That's the point of the show.
Yeah.
I get that.
Yeah.
The thing is it got weird at the end when like everyone was in their own fucking little dimensions, and
That's
I'm
what I
like,
mean.
is this a mental an unhealth, or is this like, are we in a multi-dimensional universe? What's going on
And
here?
it was like 5 episodes of that.
Yeah.
And it was just too much of the show in that world.
Yeah.
So that when things would happen in these crazy worlds, it wouldn't be shocking to me. Revelations would be made, and I'd be
Yeah.
like, okay.
and they're all going in and out of each other's weird worlds, and I'm like, I don't understand why.
Yeah.
You know
What's
what?
the mechanism?
Okay, so here it is. I'm gonna fucking lay it out.
Please
for
tell
you.
me, Mikey. Yeah. Please tell me what you learned.
This is how it is. This is how it is. I'm gonna fucking lay it out for you. My interpretation. Okay, so everyone is they're in their own little world based on their own mental health issues, and because of that, and they've all interacted with one another within their world, you have an understanding of how people see you and your perception of what you see in others and stuff like that. So of course you're going to be represented in, like, say for example, my world, but based on my perspective of you. You know what I mean? So like, it's not like it's a foreign thing where everybody kind of makes up weird, crazy scenarios in their head, even if you are very mentally healthy, right? There's you just happen to do that. People catastrophize.
Yeah.
People do all sorts of weird like things with their brain, right? Like thoughts just happen, right? They're intrusive in that way.
I get what you're saying. I
Yeah.
just don't think it watched that way. I think it watched a little more janky than how you're explaining it. How you're explaining it makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah.
I know that occurs in
Yeah.
people's minds.
That's real.
That's real life.
Yeah.
It's
That's
not
real.
fun to watch it all happening all at once at the same time.
Yeah.
And expecting those different worlds that these people create and see the world in to gel.
It was
Yeah.
really hard to follow and keep track of who's where, who's in whose world,
Yeah.
who's interacting.
Why does
in
their
which
world
way.
look that way?
Yeah. Why
What
does
are the
this
reasons
person,
for that?
Why does this person see their world and the other person not see their world? Like, how many worlds are we dealing with here?
Well, I mean, every character has their own world, and then
Yeah.
every character is within their world.
They're crossing over.
Crossing
Constantly.
over, but they're not though. Like, so within like the kid's world, he sees his tutor in his world.
Yeah.
But the tutor doesn't know that he's thinking that, right?
Yeah.
Right. You know what I mean?
He didn't really have a magical made up world.
No,
actually.
not really. He was just a little brat.
He was just a piece of shit. Yeah.
He was just a little brat.
But yeah, I don't know. It just all was a little janky, from my perspective.
But
Yeah.
look, yeah, I do agree that it wasn't very smooth, and we could have made it into like 6 to 8 episodes, and it would have been great.
Yeah.
But like I think, obviously everybody's open to interpret it the way they want, and people might like certain aspects and we might not like certain aspects.
Yeah.
And everybody's entitled to that. But I think one thing that is irrefutable is that this was a hodgepodge mismatch of recycled ideas that Satoshi Kon didn't know what to do with. And there's no way that doesn't come out a little bit in this show.
Oh yeah,
For
I
sure.
mean, like you just told me, like he says that it's been
He
confirmed.
admits it.
and like it's
Yeah.
so it's like
I fucked up, guys. Sorry.
No, I don't think he thinks it's a fuck up,
Yeah,
but
he's
he
just
literally said, I didn't know what to do with these ideas and I
Yeah.
didn't want to waste them. So I figured out a way
Yeah.
Yeah.
to jam them all into a show.
Yeah.
You know, so you know what it is?
That's how
Yeah,
it watches.
I guess that's a way.
That's
Satoshi
how
Kon,
it watches.
You know
though.
what? Now that I think about it, that sounds like to me somebody who is attached to these ideas and he thinks they're good.
Yeah.
Wants to have a feeling of closure and completion with something, so
Totally.
that he can just let it go.
Yeah.
Even if it is kind of like trash to him, or maybe he did kind of pull it off, or
Well,
whatever.
What he also said was he wanted to be able to respond to things in the moment, ideas he had momentarily, and apply those to what he was making, rather than being stuck and locked into a set story for 2 years.
Yeah.
Where if he had a different idea or a change of thought, he can't enact that.
To be fair,
so
to be
he
fair
just
to the,
fucking animated a brainstorm board.
Pretty
Basically,
much.
but it's
Yeah.
it's a passion project for him,
Yeah.
obviously,
Yeah.
as well. It's meaningful stories to him.
Yeah, because this is what I was going to say. Each one of these stories could have been its own Perfect Blue or its own Paprika.
Exactly.
Each one could have been its own.
If he had given
Yeah.
them the time.
And honestly, respect for his concept of like, I'm going to string a bunch of these together. I like that as a concept. I think just the
Bold.
execution. Yeah. And I think it could have been done great. I think just sadly it wasn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know it, and that's kind of what happens. Like guys like Satoshi Kon or anyone who is a great producer or anything, they always have to take a risk at some point.
Yeah.
They're either gonna hit or they're not.
Yeah.
Right at the end of the day.
For sure.
Yep.
Okay, let's.
All right.
I
Where the
guess
fuck are we even?
I don't even fucking know.
I know. I was like partially through Senpai's corner.
We just went off.
We just went
We just went
off.
off.
Let's
Sorry, it
just
was
start
fun.
talking episodes, maybe.
No, we gotta do like art and world.
you're right,
I
you're
mean,
right.
so
Let's skip over world because we
was
just
just-
kind of touched on how many worlds and how each one's different,
Yes.
how they travel.
Technically, it's just IRL Japan, right?
Let's-
And then art
is pretty great.
it's Satoshi Kon
Pretty good.
art.
I like it.
Yeah.
I'm pro it.
If you've ever watched a Satoshi Kon
Yeah.
movie,
Yeah.
it's Satoshi Kon.
It was produced by Madhouse, guys.
Yes.
Okay.
And Madhouse
Yeah.
is great.
There you go. Like
He also got an opportunity
said.
to dabble in some weird styles with the different worlds because sometimes a different one would have a different flavor.
absolutely.
And I liked that as a differentiating kind of like quality, but it was just all kind of good, really good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I liked a lot of the symbolism.
Yeah.
Some interesting, unique choices. Lil Slugger,
Yeah.
just as an idea with the golden boots and the
Yeah.
bent golden bat. Like,
Yeah.
there was a lot of really interesting choices made with like character design and artistic choices that I'm like, this is cool. This is elevated. This is Satoshi Kon.
Yeah.
No complaints for art as far as
sure.
I'm concerned.
I don't have any complaints on that either, to be
Yeah.
honest with you. I didn't have a lot of notes on music. I think we always talk about how that just means that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Probably.
It just was probably good.
Yeah.
Maybe this is not a music
Oh, yeah. Let me talk about that.
point. The intro and
The
outro.
worst intro song maybe
Yeah.
of all time, dude. Maybe of all time.
Yeah. I
Thank
don't
you
know
for
about the
reminding
song.
me because I had self-defense blocked it out of my brain.
Yeah.
Oh,
You don't like
man.
it, eh?
You know, I get it.
He really doesn't like it.
Dude, that was it triggered something in me
Yeah.
that made
Wow.
me mad on I think the second listen.
Was it ironic too that while you're listening to that song every time the character's just laughing in your face?
Yeah.
Just
That's the
staring.
whole intro. They're just staring and
Staring and
laughing.
laughing.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it is very like poignant to the anime though. They're
Yeah.
all fucking crazy.
And to
Right.
juxtapose it, the outro was all just pictures of the characters dead on the ground.
Yeah.
Or sleeping, I don't know, just lying down.
I always thought sleeping.
Yeah,
I
I
was
wasn't
actually-
sure one way or the other, but I did think it was one thing I thought is like they're polar opposites of depressive states. You're either manic and laughing or like fronting and facing everything's great, or you're not getting out of bed.
Yeah, hyperactive or hypoactive.
Yeah,
I also at one point thought like, oh, that's all them freshly knocked out by Lil Slugger.
yeah, maybe.
yeah, that too.
Yeah.
Bop, 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 bop.
On theme though, I was like, oh, it's a representation of high highs and low lows, which if we're talking about mental health, like
Yeah.
we're dealing with that, right?
Yeah.
I
And
mean,
the
it's
intro had the
Is that Alanis Morissette impression?
I think it could have been.
Yeah.
Yeah. To be honest, I would rather listen to you
Singing you
butcher
learn.
Alanis Morissette.
Hey, don't tell me
That's
I
right,
butcher.
dude. I said it 1,000 times
until
before I listened to the intro to
God.
Paranoia Agent one more time.
I'm gonna serenade you later.
It was the worst thing of all time.
But yeah, I mean, Satoshi Kon is gonna always kind of
Yeah.
bring the mental health aspect. I think for any of his work,
Yeah, he's got a lane,
he's got a lane
without doubt. Okay.
Right.
Let's talk about characters.
Characters.
I feel like a lot of this is going to come out in plot. There's a few I think are worth touching on outside of the plot and they're the ones that are kind of the more prominent throughout, not the ones that
Yeah.
have like little worlds and little stories. The first one obviously is Tsukiko.
Yeah.
She's pretty much the main character, or at least the catalyst for everything to occur.
Yep.
I actually thought we would get more from her. I feel like they downplayed her participation through the bulk of the middle section.
Yeah. See, I feel
Right?
like the main
they left her.
characters are actually the detectives,
Agreed.
right?
I
Like
agree,
especially the younger detective.
Yeah, both of them, because even the chief and his wife have a huge roles to play later on too. Right? Which is
Yeah.
interesting.
Which was, I thought, too late to introduce their role in the greater story.
A lot was too late. Even Tsukiko's role in the greater story
They
was
brought her back
in the
at the
very
very
end.
end.
Yeah,
I'm like,
absolutely.
I've just forgotten about her for 5 episodes.
Yeah, I mean, she made that character or whatever, and they pepper her in.
Yeah.
But it's not, you don't think like, oh, this is the reason all this is happening
Yeah.
is because of her, right?
Well, it sets everything up, right? Like that it's kind of like an anthology series
Yeah.
at the beginning. So you're going through each character. They have something that they're worried about.
Yeah.
They're paranoid about. They get knocked out. And all of a sudden they feel relief and they're fine. And then they just like A, B, C, D.
And that works as
Yeah.
an anthology. It's when they try to blend all of those different stories
Yeah.
into
Agreed.
one story
Yeah.
that they fucked it up.
Yeah.
There's your
fucked
anthology,
it up,
Mikey.
yeah.
You just nailed it, dude.
Yeah. Hey,
Oh,
we should write an anime.
Yo, I still want to do
I know
that.
you do.
I still know that.
I know
Yeah.
you do, dude.
Oh, by the way, happy birthday
Ew.
to you.
To me?
To who?
To Jordy.
Is this my birthday episode?
Yeah, this is going to be your birthday episode, man.
Okay, cool.
Actually?
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
birthday is real soon.
Yeah, so this episode is dropping on the 3rd.
Oh, and my birthday is the 2nd.
And your birthday's on the 2nd.
Wow, okay.
No, for my birthday we sing Alanis Morissette.
You learn, you learn, you learn, you learn.
My dreams are coming true.
Happy birthday, Jordy.
I
And
fucking
if
love
you
it.
have a dream, maybe your dream is to also have a successful podcast by liking and subscribing.
That might have been the most confusing sentence you've ever said.
and the timing to ask for people to subscribe right when I think they're gonna all unsubscribe is hilarious to me because no way anybody's listening to us scream Alanis Morissette.
There's one guy out there who's like, oh yeah, that's the shit.
No, there's not. It's you.
One guy's getting off on him.
It's you. That's you.
Me.
That's
It
you.
is me.
But yeah.
But yeah, please like and subscribe
For my birthday.
For your birthday. Yes, if you're on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, give us a rating. Give us 5 stars. Leave a comment or leave a review. That'd be great. Tell a friend.
I'm an old man. I'm not gonna be around much longer.
He
Give
is
us a like
old.
or subscribe.
It's his
Yeah.
birthday.
It's his birthday.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right.
I
Let's
should
go
be
to
giving
medieval
you more
times.
shit for
Hey.
your birthday.
Good chicken.
Yeah, because we were supposed to originally do
Star Wars.
for your
Yeah.
birthday. I was trying to throw you a bone.
I love you for that.
Yeah.
I love me some Star Wars.
Yes. And I think the second one's supposed to be coming out soon.
It looks good.
How good was that last season of Mando?
I didn't watch it yet.
I
I
loved
should
it.
watch it.
Anyway.
Yeah. All right. I've been watching this. Okay, let's talk about I guess he's the chief or like the lead detective or whatever. Legit thought this dude was going to stroke out early on in this show. He's just so stressed out, like completely stressed out, utterly invested in the Little Slugger case. And then he randomly like ends up in the Twilight Zone in this like weird made up world. You know what I mean? And I had a question, like, did we even see him go there? Or did we just like see him there later? Like, I know everyone got fired off the case.
Yeah.
And then we don't see him. And then the next time we see him, he's in this world. So we didn't see him go there, right?
Yeah, so
I don't think so.
No,
Yeah, I
no.
can't
The
remember.
sequence of
They
events
jump
was
around.
they go to the cell and then they see him see a Little Slugger
Yeah.
IRL dead, and then they see the Phantom Slugger
Go through the wall. Yeah.
right. Obviously, nobody's going to believe them.
Yeah.
They get fired.
Yeah.
And then you have the younger detective trying to still figure out the case,
Yeah.
and he's just there.
Yeah. Yeah. And so weird things happen in there. Like that Tsukiko shows up there, right? And he like ends up like somehow being the catalyst for her to go into her memories and like have this like redemption arc.
Oh no! Wait, sorry. I think it was he was starting to mess around with the fucking radios first.
Oh, was he?
Yeah, and then I think that was his transition in. But anyway, I can't remember. It's
Either way.
been a while.
No big deal. And then the way he gets out of there, it was awkward too because his wife dies and his dead wife shows up in his like Twilight Zone world and convinces him to leave. And I'm like, I don't understand now. Are dead people now involved in the show? Like, what's happening here?
No, you're talking about the older detective.
Yeah. That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, I'm talking about the younger detective.
No. I'm not talking about him. We'll talk about him next.
Okay.
The older detective, though, is in that weird world where he's in that weird, like, Pleasantville world where
Yeah,
everything's
yeah.
nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's later after you've seen him work as like a security guard for construction zones.
He had multiple jobs.
See, I
Yeah.
forgot because I watched all this
Yeah.
before.
Yeah, he had
and
multiple
a lot of
jobs.
it didn't matter and I didn't care.
Yeah.
He had multiple jobs. He had multiple jobs at the same
Oh, yeah.
time.
That's right.
And Jordy's back.
I do remember that. You're
He
right.
was running between jobs at one point.
You do remember
Yeah.
that, yeah.
Yeah.
And the other thing about him is that there's like no development. We talked about this on his relationship with his wife. They just like throw it at you at the very. In fact, like when you first meet her and she seems like she's doing something really important, I'm like, who is this? They didn't give us anything.
No.
No.
Anyways,
I think it was just a way to try to, I guess, develop sympathy for the character, right? Or try to get you to become a little bit more attached to the character,
Yeah.
just to give him some backstory. Oh, poor cop, he's a good cop.
Yeah.
He's taking care of his wife who's really sickly, right? That kind of thing. And then there's this like deep, profound thing where the wife is the only one that really defeats.
she figures out how to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. That was weird. Yep.
Yeah.
We can
was
talk really briefly, I guess, so we can move on about the younger detective who really is the real hero of the show.
Totally.
Right? And Mike, you nailed it on the fucking head when you said his willingness to relate and understand people and their delusions. You know what I mean? His willingness to play along
Yeah.
really opens him up to be able to help people.
Absolutely.
And get through to the real issues. You know what I mean? So I really actually see him as the main character of the show,
Yeah.
Yeah.
in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Agreed.
Did
And
you,
I mean,
did
especially.
you make the big connection?
What's probably not?
Of who he is?
Who is he?
Oh my God! I swear to God, if you didn't fucking, if you don't make this
Do
connection,
you know the old man who's writing on the...
Yeah. That's it.
is that? Oh my
No,
God!
no,
Jordy.
no.
Yeah.
No, because the old man was the old man that teaches him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then
Self-fulfilling prophecy. dude.
yeah, I know he becomes another version of that old man in the end, but the old man was a separate old man.
I
And then at
thought,
the end, he grows old and continues the work of the old man.
I thought that was like a circle.
Yeah.
No,
same.
because the little slugger in his video game world, you see the old man. It's like the old why it's giving him his missions, and then later on, the detective starts taking on those missions, and he goes and sees the old man dying in the hospital.
See, no, I always thought that it was like this
True.
weird reincarnation, self-fulfilling prophecy.
I agree with
because-
reincarnation because the old man died, and then all this wraps up, and then this dude becomes the new old
That
man.
new guy.
Yeah.
I forgot that they had met,
They met.
him and the
Yeah.
old man.
Yeah.
Because that was one of the things where I was like, did they? Maybe they didn't, and maybe that's just him. And
No,
it's
they did.
like
They met
this
kinda twice,
This
'cause they met-
galactic circle. That's
They
going
met
on.
once in the video game.
Yeah, yeah,
And then
yeah.
again later when he was
Okay.
dying. So you guys are fucking wrong.
Well, no,
Why are you fronting on me, man?
I don't know. dude.
half wrong.
Yeah, you're right.
Half wrong.
There is a self-fulfilling prophecy. They even show at the end, they show a close-up on his face, all gray hair, and
Yeah.
right that's the
And he's
last thing
writing.
you see, but it's a different face,
Yeah.
It is.
right? In
But
fact, the
younger.
original old man is, by the way, Santa Claus from Tokyo Godfathers.
Oh,
It's the same character
yeah,
design.
and I
Is
think
it actually?
Yeah, I think so.
it was also the nurse in this in Paranoia Agent.
Oh, yeah,
is
100%.
yeah the same nurse.
Yeah. From Perfect Blue. I keep thinking of the picture on my shirt with the knife.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
almost did that.
Well, I mean, Satoshi Kon does love putting little Easter eggs in his stuff. So.
For sure.
Right on.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, I remember
cool.
I caught Mima in Tokyo Godfathers, and you
Yeah.
guys were like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I still don't know if that one was real or not.
It is.
But
It's Jordy.
Okay.
It's Jordy canon now.
Let's talk about the show. We're gonna have to kind of go episode by episode because that's kind of the way this show's laid
It
out.
is.
It's weird. So episode
Annoyingly.
1, we meet Tsukiko. She designs characters. She's having creative block and mad pressure from her boss to create the next big one because the first one was Moromi, and it's like the world's biggest. It's like a fucking Pikachu or something, or like
yeah, Hello Kitty.
Hello Kitty, something crazy like that. She's leaving work, all stressed out. She trips and drops all her drawings, and suddenly gets attacked by a baseball bat.
Yeah.
Right. And then after that, we meet these two detectives. They're on the case.
well,
Actually,
we
while
got-
she's walking through the alley, she sees a creepy old lady.
Yeah,
Oh, that's right.
The grandma.
The
Yeah.
grandma.
Yeah.
Who's doing some shit.
She's like digging in the garbage or
it's
something.
very tense.
Yeah.
And they're definitely trying to zero you in on this grandma that she might be a threat.
A bunch of times they zero you in on the
Yeah,
grandma.
Yeah.
the grandma was just a straight red herring.
A
For
bunch
sure.
of times.
Yeah.
But they did it several times and be like,
Yeah.
grandma.
Even garbage. At one point, I'm like, there's always garbage around when people
Yeah.
are getting hit by the
Yeah,
bat. But I'm
trash
like, that's
cans.
probably just Japan.
Yeah.
Well,
Were they?
I mean, Japan actually isn't very dirty. They don't have a lot of garbage around. I think it was just for general effect to have
Okay.
something flying around.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay, so the detectives assume it's a kid who's attacking people at random. They just make this assumption. And then we get introduced to the frog scumbag reporter who is like literally putting porn on the TV for kids.
Yeah.
And he kind of like grossly hits on Tsukiko with like ties the cherry stem in his mouth.
Oh,
You're
yeah. I
gross,
forgot about
dude.
that. That guy is fucking
He's gross, man. He's
greasy.
so greasy.
So
He's so
greasy.
greasy. Anyway, so Tsukiko's like in her room and she's like starting to lose it. And Moromi like comes to life and starts talking to her. And at this point, I'm like, okay, so like she's hallucinating or something, or I don't know what's going on here. The reporter like randomly meets up with Tsukiko like later on, and she suddenly remembers rollerblades. There's rollerblades are involved or something, and then the reporter randomly gets attacked by Lil Slugger, and Lil Slugger stands there and says hi to Tsukiko, hi, and then goes
off.
away.
Yeah.
Which now I know is crazy foreshadowing.
Yeah.
The fact that Little Slugger, spirit Little Slugger,
Yeah.
anyways, would know her and why he knows her specifically and says hi to her specifically.
And why he didn't go after her.
Yeah, is actually kind of fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so episode 2, we meet Ichi, this little kid who we all kind of hate.
Yeah.
He's just kind of like this perfect little kid, perfect at everything, but he also has a golden bat, golden hat, golden skates, which is so obviously a red herring on episode 2. You know what I mean? I'm like,
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that was a red herring. I think they were kind of heavy-handedly showing you that this guy is.
Yeah.
People are going to think that this guy is the little slugger, but we obviously know he's
sure.
not.
And that's his whole story is people think it's him, and he's a nervous wreck about it.
Yeah.
And then there's this kid who he's bullying, who like ends up getting hit, right? And then afterwards they're like, oh, he for sure, this kid hit him, and then nobody comes to his birthday party, and he's all upset about it, man.
Yeah. Well, he was the popular kid at the beginning.
Yeah,
and he
exactly.
was like running for his like class president
Yeah.
and like.
And there was a situation where he like sent, some picture got sent around to everybody of him doing something, being gross to this kid. or
Yeah, when he was
something.
threatening
Yeah.
the kids, somebody filmed
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
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 Anyways, and so there's this whole scenario of him being like, oh, I kind of wish that the dude would attack me too, because then everyone would realize it wasn't me, and then it happens. It hits him as well too. And then he knows he'll get blamed, whatever. He gets attacked, and he's like kind of tripping balls in that scene. Like again, it's like this depths of mental health, like depression and like anxiety. Like his manifests into he trips balls for a minute, just for a second, right before he gets hit. And we also
I feel like that moment was like one of those. Oh, maybe I should put this in here.
A little bit, I think. Yeah, I think they just didn't know what to do with this kid. This kid felt like a throwaway story for me, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it probably was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, one of the main themes, I guess, for Ichi's entire story is the idea of ego.
Yeah.
And you know, they're described as egopathic delusions that he has towards the end, right? Because it's basically a complete destruction and breakdown of his ego.
Yeah, for sure.
In that moment, and as a kid who is entirely attached to his ego at that point, that breaks all of him.
Yeah.
It breaks him down entirely,
Totally.
right? And that's why he goes into these delusions of reclaiming his fame and everything coming back together for him and everything working out.
Yeah, he sits and watches videos of how cool, awesome he is.
Awesome
Oh
he
my
is.
God.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And like that, I think it is a
Most
poignant
narcissistic
and
thing.
interesting way to look at ego death and like that whole idea, because that's a real thing.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's really a throwaway, but I think maybe in the grand scheme of the story, this was a rather unimportant little blip.
For sure.
But it's definitely an example of that ripple.
Yeah.
Because this is directly caused by Tsukiko making up the story that she makes up.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
This kid's life doesn't go down the drain if she doesn't make up that exact story.
Which is really fucking weird, because there's an actual kid in real life
Yeah.
who is the story.
kid.
Yeah.
But we'll get to that
I know.
episode later on.
But this is what I'm saying, dude. The first like 5 or 6 episodes are good.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's intriguing.
Yeah. So speaking of intriguing, episode 3, after episode 2, we get introduced to his tutor. Episode 3, we get her story. So we first meet this like comic book guy.
Yep.
Who's disgusting.
Yep.
He fucks a sex worker. It turns out the sex worker was the tutor.
Yes.
Who is like a full on like dual personalities.
Yes.
And the personalities are battling with each other
All the time.
through
And,
phone calls and voicemail.
Yeah.
Exclusively. Yeah.
Which I thought was a really good mechanism.
I also thought so, to be honest with
Yeah,
you.
good.
Honestly, probably one of the best episodes, in my opinion.
Yeah. I really enjoyed that one, because like it was 3 personalities.
Was it 3?
And, yeah, it was 3. So you had the tutor, which is kind of like the base personality. And then you had the one that was kind of really wild and quirky with the short hair.
Oh, that wasn't the sex worker?
That was the sex worker, but there was the third one was also a sex worker, but she was like the kind of like stone cold, like long black hair.
I wasn't paying attention to hair. I only got 2.
I only got 2 as well.
Yeah.
No, there's 3.
Okay. Amazing.
Jordy and I both missed it.
Yeah, it's possible. Anyways,
Unless I just interpreted it wrong.
Maybe.
Okay, it could, but at the end of the day, it was still cool.
Regardless, the struggle between the personalities and the like fights they have are kind of interesting, because there's like scenes where they're smashing answering machines. There's a scene where like one of them they like fucks a taxi driver, and then later on the other character gets in that same guy's cab, which is kind of wild, right? Like little things like that. And then there's a scene where she's literally fighting herself in the streets, thinking she's fighting the other character, and then Lil Slugger, quote unquote, sets her free.
Yes.
Right. And so now there's like a pattern emerging for the first time. I'm like, okay, so a person is experiencing some internal struggle and emotional instability, and that reaches a pinnacle, and that triggers an attack. And I'm like, what is going on? Like, what's the mechanism here, right? Is this real? Is this not real? Like, this is where there's a lot of questions, which I like. And it's very Satoshi Kon. It's very Perfect Blue.
Totally.
Who's the murderer? Is it real? Is it her?
You feel like you have all the same information as the detectives, basically.
Yeah.
And you're making this realization at the same time they are.
Yeah.
Basically. Like, they were really good with the timing of the detectives being like, this is our fucking pattern.
Yeah.
All of these people were in emotional distress when they got hit.
Yeah.
As the detectives are making that realization, the story is also right there with it.
Yeah.
And you're making that realization. It feels like good, natural flow of timing, I think, at that point.
I agree.
Yeah. Still on board with the show at this point.
Yeah.
Let me just say.
Same. Episode 4, which we're getting to, also still on board, while maybe being the most disturbing episode of the show.
Yes.
We're talking about that regular cop
Oh,
who's
fuck
being
that
extorted.
Guy. That guy.
Yeah, 100%.
I hate that guy.
He's the worst, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, like, he's tying up families and then molesting their children, essentially, right?
Well, he's doing so much more than that, right? Like first he's a cop, right, and he's buddy with the detective, So he's getting away with that. He's in cahoots with the fucking mafia
for sure
to try to get money to build this house for his family.
But they're extorting him and making him do awful shit for it.
Yes, right. And then because of that, then he goes out and then starts doing greasy things with like prostitutes, and then he has to like, oh, I need more money because I have to pay back the fucking mafia. So that's when he goes robs people,
dressed like a manga superhero, by the way.
Yeah, like a fucking.
That's his shtick.
Yeah, he was like wearing a luchador mask or something like that.
I think it was a sock. But it looked
I think
ridiculous.
it was luchador.
It looked ridiculous. Yeah.
And then you find out later he had a fucking camera to watch his own daughter.
Yeah.
It like hidden in her room.
Yeah.
Like this guy is fucking like.
And she found it.
Yeah, and she found it.
Yeah.
That's multiple episodes ahead, right?
Oh yeah. It is.
I think so.
Okay. You're probably
I just
right.
want to stay on track.
Yeah, because we haven't gotten to her story yet, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Because that's how we find out later. But yeah, he's a fucking greaseball.
At the end of his episode, he also is begging for Lil Slugger to come and knock him out. And
He wants to be stopped.
Lil Slugger does show up, but doesn't quite knock him out. Instead, this cop magically comes to his senses for a minute, becomes
Throws a fucking shoe.
a literal shoe, knocks a real actual kid out, and arrests him. And at this moment, I'm like, wait a minute, I thought I understood this show.
Yeah.
In this moment, I don't.
Well,
Yes.
it was they built that up too because the previous episode ended on the cliffhanger of the news bulletin popping up, and him being interviewed, and then being like, "So how did it happen?" And he goes to say, and then the episode ends.
Yeah.
So I'm ready to go on this fucking next episode, and you find out that it's just the most ridiculously dumb outcome imaginable.
But it tracks for him as a character.
Totally.
Yes.
And also, I actually, even in this moment, was like, okay, I like that there's a real kid because now I don't know what I thought I knew. I don't know.
Yes.
I'm getting a twist.
Yep.
But again, as Jay said, I want the ending to be coming soon after this twist, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
But instead, we're only on episode 4
of 13.
of 13. Yeah.
I
We're
mean,
not even halfway.
It wouldn't have been bad if that twist turned into something that kind of progressed the story to another twist that really brought it in, right? Which I guess it kind of did. But
there's multiple twists, man.
Yeah,
There's twist after twist after twist from this point onward. So episode 5, we get the kid's story after he's arrested, right? So we find out that he calls himself the Holy Warrior.
Yes.
And he's in some weird, I don't know, fantasy video game LARP situation. We don't really have to go into all the ins and outs of this episode. I feel like I wanted to because it's so fucking weird.
Yeah.
But all we really need to know is he's completely
it's
delusional.
Fucking D&D, like JRPG or
100%.
like fantasy game.
Yeah.
Record of Lodos War.
Pretty much,
there
yeah. He's delusional. His baseball bat's actually a sword.
Yeah.
And he's like taking orders from someone called the Ancient Master, which is the old man.
To try and defeat Goma.
To try to defeat Goma, right? Yeah. And in the end, he does defeat Goma, but then he gets smashed in the face by the old lady.
Right.
Right? Who kind of looks like E.T.
Kind of.
Oh,
Yo,
yeah, actually.
When she comes down through the top, he looks up and it's just a face. It's E.T. dude.
It's E.T., yeah.
It's literally 100% E.T.
Yeah.
I actually paused it and went back several times. I'm like, that's literally E.T.
Yeah, I have it in my notes.
Yeah.
In brackets, E.T., question mark, exclamation
It
mark.
couldn't have been accidental. That literally was like
Yeah,
on
it's
model
too-
drawing of E.T.
Too on point. So like an homage.
It had to be, dude. It was so
Yeah.
on the nose E.T. that I fucking died at that, actually.
Yeah.
I
me too.
believe Satoshi Kon would love E.T.
But this episode was so bizarre too that E.T. I was like, okay, yeah,
you just accept it, everything, because it's just there's nothing that is rational about it.
yeah,
Exactly.
This episode was like, for somebody who loves fantasy and role playing games and JRPGs, this episode to me was the beginning of the end.
yeah.
This was a first misstep for me.
It was
this
so
episode.
silly. Yeah.
Took me out of it.
Episode 6 takes you right back fucking into it because episode 6 we get the cop's kid backstory. And I don't really want to talk about it. It just sucks, man. She finds the camera. She runs away. There's a suicide attempt. It's just like devastating to watch. And then at the end, she's basically is saying things like, I want to become nothing. And then she gets smoked by a little slugger.
Yeah.
And wakes up, and when she wakes up, her disgusting father is at
right there.
bedside.
Yeah.
And now she has either amnesia or has retreated mentally to a place where she no longer knows who he is or who she is, and she's basically
Starting
just
from scratch.
been abused to brain death.
Yeah.
Well, she fully disassociated, right?
Which,
So
by the
fucked
way,
up.
if we want to take Lil Slugger as a metaphor for a trauma response.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like essentially,
that is also a big one too,
Right?
right? Like some people revert back,
yeah,
right?
That's what I'm saying.
To childhood
Yeah.
behaviors, like small child.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fucking Shonen Bat.
Gross. So, anyways, episode 7, Shonen Bat or Holy Warrior or Little Slugger, whatever the fuck you want to call him at this point.
Yeah.
Turns out he only hit a few of these victims. We find out he hit the fat kid and tried to hit the cop but failed, and all the other ones were not him. So there's this big mystery now, right? And somehow the detectives decide, oh, actually, at some point in the episode, they're like, oh, he's going to get hit next. I don't remember how they deduced that, but that's when they start running to the cell. They're like, he's going to get hit next. And he did get hit next by himself because he suicided.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, it was the whole trend of they understood that they had to get paranoid and they had to like feel like they're backed up in a corner.
Yeah.
Right. And so he like obviously this kid feels that way.
For sure. But this is the thing is like, do these cops know that it's some weird supernatural shit?
But here,
Like, what's the clue?
I think the young cop is open to it.
Because he's
Yeah.
in the game.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. But I don't know if that kid, like pseudo Shonen Bat,
Yeah.
actually committed suicide,
Or if the spirit
died by
Shonen Bat got
suicide.
him.
No, I think
Yeah.
he committed suicide.
I also think that if we're going to
he
go
was
with...
part of the suicide pact in one of the later episodes.
That's right.
Oh, that's right.
He,
Yeah,
was,
that's
he was
right.
the fourth member of
Yeah.
the suicide pact, so he was
Yes.
suicidal.
Oh yeah, that episode. That one was fucked up
We'll get
too,
there.
man.
But by the way,
Holy
if
fuck.
you want to talk about Little Slugger as a trauma response,
Yeah.
a trauma mechanism, and a suicide is the outcome, you could say it was Little Slugger and it also be a suicide. Do you know what I'm saying?
It's technically both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so episode 8. Awkward meetup. There's these 3 very random people meeting up for some reason, right? There's a literal giant, actual Thomas Edison,
That character design killed me,
and
dude.
a small child.
Yeah. Fuyubachi and
Yeah.
Zebra.
What the fuck, man? Okay, and so they
They
ditch the
all-
girl real quick, but she keeps following them, and we don't know what's going on. And then when you find out what's going on, you're like, oh, I'm glad you ditched the girl because this is a suicide club.
Yeah.
And they're all trying to die.
Yeah,
But,
because
sorry,
they
go
all
ahead.
met online, right?
Yeah.
So they didn't know that it was a little girl that they were talking to,
Yeah.
right?
They go to meet up with her and they're standing there and they're just like, this
Please
is all
don't.
little kids.
Yeah.
Like, what's going on? Who could she be?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the little girl runs up. She's like, Zebra!
Yeah.
Like, it's me! And they're
And
just
real
like,
quick, like, oh, we got to ditch
No.
her. Yeah, you can't.
Yeah, you can't.
You can't die with us.
no.
So you're going to have to find your own way to die.
Literally.
Yeah. You got a long
And
life
that's
ahead
like the
of
whole
you.
episode is them just
Pretty
running
much.
from her.
Also
Yeah.
them failing at suicide.
Yes.
They just try and
Multiple
try and try
times.
again.
Yeah.
Yeah, they like hide out in a building being demoed. At one point, they're about to commit suicide, and like someone else does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They try to hang themselves, and the branch breaks. Like
Or like they took so many pills and like nothing happened.
they just trip balls. They just hang.
Yeah.
They probably had a good time, to be honest
Yeah.
with you. Maybe a new lease on life. I don't know.
my
And then it
God.
turns out we find out that online, the 4th member, this guy Fox, was our holy warrior.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Lil Slugger shows up at the end of this episode, but I actually couldn't remember how this episode ended. I didn't have a note on it. I don't know if you guys remember. Did they
Nah.
die? Did they get hit with Lil Slugger? Does it matter?
I
Nope.
don't remember right now. I can't,
No,
I can't think
so
of
it gets really heady because the Edison guy at
Yeah.
one point realizes that none of them are casting shadows.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, weird.
And it basically ends on a like they were dead the whole time.
Yes.
kind of vibe.
Whoa!
Yes.
Sick!
Yeah.
Excellent twist.
Because there's also another point where they all jokingly pose for a picture while
Yeah.
3 girls are taking photos on a street.
Yeah.
And when the girl looks at her camera to see it, she like screams in horror at what she saw.
Sick.
So I think
Corpses.
I was gonna say they're like like fucking
Ghouls or whatever.
yeah, or like demons or
Nice.
something.
Yeah.
The show makes so much sense.
And then also, want to talk about not making sense? The weirdest thing ever. The very fucking end scene as they're skipping through the streets. The camera zooms in on a fucking condom machine that says "Happy Family Planning."
I don't even remember that,
Yeah.
but cool.
I remember that.
Like
Cool.
poignantly zooms in on this
Yeah.
machine. Like,
Yeah.
hey, here's the real message.
What's
here.
weird is that
Yeah.
like
We're
someone
a
was
dome,
making
guys.
someone was making a point.
Yeah.
It just nobody knows what that point is.
Yeah.
Don't have kids because they'll make a suicide pact
I
or
guess,
something.
yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Well, you know what though?
I don't know, man.
At one point, I
I
think
don't know.
in when did this come out? This came out like
2004, 2005.
Yeah. I think around that time, maybe a little bit. I don't know if it was earlier or just after.
Yeah.
There was a big spike in suicide pacts in Japan and in parts of Asia with teens.
Yeah. Oh, interesting.
So I wonder if that had anything to do with it.
Stop having children. They're killing themselves out there. Okay.
I don't know what we're gonna do with all these dead kids. but-
Jesus, stop having them.
Holy fuck.
Yeah. Throw a
This
condom
shit
on.
just
I know
got
it doesn't feel as good, but come on.
Dark.
Yeah. Wow. Funny, not funny.
Funny. Funny.
Okay.
Yeah.
Episode 9.
Oh god.
I don't know what the fuck happened in this episode.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's just a series of vignettes of like people getting hit with the bat, but here are my notes. Okay, ready? Sneezing / barfing, math and words, hit by a baseball bat. Yep. Stepmom is a tyrant, hit by a baseball bat.
Yep.
Wrong fetus, unborn baby is slugger. Sick girlfriend, smoked, dude falls off ladder.
Yeah.
Baseball game, little slugger at bat. Skinny fat, punches cake and sushi, smoked.
Yep.
Stranded on an island, smoked. Ladies and gossip, her husband, but how?
Yeah.
What does that note mean?
Okay,
So that episode is
Yeah.
is the housewives basically gossiping together and
Yeah.
all telling stories
Okay.
that they've heard about Lil Slugger.
Yeah.
I remember
right?
now.
Yeah.
The
I
first
remember now.
story, the student has the math equations
Okay.
Yeah.
coming out of his nose like a nosebleed, and then he goes into the bathroom and he's freaking out.
That's
and then
right. I
he
remember.
Ends up dying in the bathroom,
Yeah.
probably against suicide.
Yeah. Yeah.
Again, academic pressures, these types
Totally.
of things,
Yeah.
right? But the thing is, with the stories as they go along, they just get a little more and more far fetched. And this
Yeah.
one particular housewife here seems incapable of telling a truthful story.
Yeah,
And she's just trying to make up ones that are like
yeah, I do
one-upping the
remember
other
that.
ladies,
Yeah, too.
and then the ladies don't buy
Yeah.
it. And then she gets back home,
Yeah.
and her husband had been hit.
Yeah.
Like he's bleeding on the floor from a head wound.
But
Yeah.
how? That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
That's
But
right.
But how? I need
He
to
he
tell
claims
them.
it was a little slugger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the wife, instead of being concerned, gets on her hands and knees and she's like, "Tell me, how did he do it? Tell me
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
the attack. Tell
Finally,
me the
I have
story."
a real story. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's like that. I think you should leave sketch. I'm out with these fucking pig bitches.
Yeah,
You can't
yeah.
figure out how to diss her friends
gulping
from-
down some pig dicks with these
Yeah.
fat sluts. Yeah,
That's that
hope
episode.
nobody gulps us.
I love it.
Oh my god! But yeah,
Amazing.
this is just like pure Stepford Wives kind
Yeah.
of bullshit, right? Like,
Yeah.
It's bullshit. is
I
what
feel
it
like
is.
actually this is probably like 5 or 6 other Satoshi Kon stories that hit the cutting room floor for this show.
even less developed
Yeah.
ideas that he just didn't want to give up on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, a guy has math coming out of his nose.
yeah,
Too
yeah.
good. Okay, episode 10, an episode about making an anime. I don't have a lot of notes for this episode either. I just know that tensions were high and people are dying.
Moromi was getting a show.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
Okay.
TV show.
And I know that the producer animator is being like stalked by Lil Slugger throughout the show. And
Yeah,
at the end, they like miss the deadline and he gets fired. And then now he has the bat. That's how that episode ends. According to my notes, I don't know. Again,
I
a
don't
lot of this
remember.
show was forgotten in my brain when I came back to talk about it.
no, the homeboy is beaten to death.
Is he?
Oh, that's
out
right, yeah,
front
yeah.
of the network building.
Yes.
Because
By Slugger.
Little Slugger eventually makes it into the car. He starts showing up in the rearview mirror and then gets
Oh, that's
closer
right.
and
Yeah,
closer and
and then
closer and
makes-
closer.
Yeah.
Makes
Yeah.
a car crash.
I do think
but
in the end,
the network grabs the fucking tape out of his lifeless hand and they run off with it to go get it to air.
amazing.
And they just leave his body behind.
That's
Yes.
real life. That's
Yeah.
what Hollywood's like.
Literally.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot
Satoshi
about
Kon
that
knows.
episode too. Fuck. I think that was also a story that I was like, eh.
And then I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure in the guy's head, he goes into a mental self-defense state, I guess, as he's dying.
Yeah.
And it's Moromi keep repeatedly telling him to just take a rest, just relax.
You want to know what?
Rest.
I bet you that's Satoshi Kon's autobiographical story. I bet you that's him.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh yeah.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's how he
Like he's-
feels.
Yeah.
All the time. Just-
Yeah, they're taking the tapes out of his cold, dead hands at the
Yeah.
end.
Yeah, as
Like
long
he-
as it hit the deadline.
Yeah.
I haven't eaten in 5 days.
Yeah.
It's
I
just
don't give a
a
fuck, Satoshi Kon. Give me your
shell.
goddamn tape.
Yeah, shell of a human with
Yeah.
a tape in his hands.
Executive with a bent golden bat's like, Satoshi Kon.
yeah, like
me
a
that fucking
solid gold
tape.
bat because
Yeah.
he has all the money.
Yeah,
It
we need
just-
paprika now. Let's go. Yeah. Okay. Episode 11. The detective's wife calls out Lil Slugger. He's jacked now. He's this giant, like, ape-like fangs.
He's getting
crazy
bigger.
looking,
Yeah, well, that's the thing. He gets bigger. So she's talking to him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the room, she's
Very
confronted
calmly.
him, right?
Yeah.
But that's the thing is his growth changes based on how she's talking.
Yeah.
Because she's doing this thing continuously where she's talking about the negatives, the things in life that are beating her down and
Yeah.
beating her down, and he's growing bigger and
Yeah.
bigger and menacing.
But
But then she
then she
always comes in
switches.
at the end.
Yeah. Yeah.
At the end of every point, she's like, "But
The value of human life.
here's
Yes.
how we're overcoming."
Absolutely.
Yes.
And here's how we're enduring.
Yeah.
And every time she does that, he shrinks back down and he loses his fucking
Yeah.
power. And you
he's
see,
given,
this is the
he's
key.
given her the feels in a weird way. Yeah. And so, like, we learn.
He gets energized by all the negativity. That's his whole thing,
Yeah. That's
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but like human perseverance and resilience, that's his weakness,
Yes.
Yes.
right? Which again tracks if he is a trauma response.
Yes.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Which he absolutely is.
I know it's just interesting that how pervasive it is.
But he didn't actually like shrink down completely. He was still a huge dude in that because he wrecked the fucking room.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
so maybe he didn't shrink down, but he stopped growing.
Yeah.
He would only grow when she was being self-deprecating.
And he would also like stop growling for a minute and like breathe heavily.
and he would be reflective almost. He was thinking on her words.
He was getting the feels.
Yeah.
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 At the end of this episode, the younger detective shows up at the end here. He's dressed like a homeless man. He thinks he's a superhero.
So yeah. So it went from for him.
Yeah.
You get a little clip of it beforehand where he's with the radio, and then he goes out into the world with the radio to try to get like some sort of signal because he thinks that because of the supernatural,
Yeah.
right? So yes, they go and try to fine tune that.
Do you guys ever see the movie Pi?
Oh, a long time
It was
ago.
like that with the radios and the sound.
Yeah.
He's obsessed with it, getting the code or something. I don't know.
Yeah, Darren Aronofsky, man, I love that.
Yeah, he's
director.
wild.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I know like I don't know what his motivation was, but yeah, I guess he just wanted to be like old-fashioned cop, like just
I
out,
don't know.
out there catching burglars and not doing.
Yeah, he's like the shadow.
Yeah, like not dealing with anything psychological. He's just like your neighborhood,
Yeah.
watch. Kind
Except
of.
he looks haggard.
Totally.
Like he doesn't
totally.
look like someone you can trust to help you with your problems.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
You know what it is? I think it was that degradation to the point where he's now become obsessive over something.
Yeah.
Right? So
sure.
it was like he lost his job. He lost everything.
Yeah.
He was an up and coming detective.
Yeah.
So, but now he's just got, what does he have? He lost it all. So he only has the one thing that took it away from him.
Yeah.
So he's pouring everything into it.
Yeah. And he's losing it a bit.
He's losing it.
Because he's also kind of like in this video game world still.
Oh, yeah.
He's in it a little bit still. Okay, so episode 12, it takes up right after episode 11. It's literally a seamless transition. He can't believe that the wife didn't get hit in the head. And they deduce together, somehow, I don't know how they even come to this conclusion, that Moromi and Slugger are the same.
Yeah.
They like talk that out. And at this point, I have no idea what the fuck anybody's saying. And then
So
he
no,
goes to
Mise tells him that like his wife.
yeah.
She's the one.
I
who
don't know how
figures that
she
out.
realized that. Again, it's the trauma and the self-medicating. It's like when you're self-medicating, you're actually feeding your trauma. I think that's the metaphor they're working with here about Moromi and Little Slugger being the same.
Yeah, because what you see too is the popularity of Moroni keep growing and growing and
Yeah.
growing too,
Yeah.
right? Like you're seeing, you see even in the news, like all these Moroni like balloons are
Yeah.
in the air now. Like
Yeah.
there's all this merchandise.
Yeah.
If you're seeing people like looking, trying to buy more merchandise.
And the more people buy in, the more power actually Little Slugger has because the people are letting their guards down.
Yes.
You know what I mean? They're just investing in this like little thing that brings them teeny bits of serotonin and dopamine, but don't actually help them in real life.
Yes.
Right.
Right?
They're running from their issues
Exactly.
to Moromi.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
What they don't know is that it feeds both sides.
Yeah.
Right?
They're the same.
They are the same.
So detective dude goes to see old man, Santa Claus, in the hospital. He's dying. His last dying words are some weird cryptic message saying something along the lines of, "You have to dance with the bunny."
Yeah.
And then this detective ends up going and like seeing in the window a bunch of like horny anime figures.
Yeah.
And one of them is a bunny girl, obviously. And then he ends up inside the comic book guy's apartment.
Yeah, that was very like Perfect Blue-esque because it was like
Yeah.
that the bunny anime girl figure was kind of like in the window going through each window.
Yeah.
Right?
And she's like, don't worry, he can't see you. Just come on into his apartment here.
Yeah.
And then one of them's like, don't worry, I'll jack you into his computer, which has all the answers.
yeah, the
Somehow.
one, the
Yeah,
one
they plug him
figure
into
like
an AR, like
Yeah.
an augmented reality thing.
Yep.
It's fucking
the one
ridiculous.
the one figure like kind of decompose or like transforms.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. And so he ends up, and somehow also this computer somehow allows him to see into Tsukiko's
Tsukiko's
past.
memories. Yeah.
Why?
What the fuck?
How?
I don't know why.
Why does the comic book guy's horny anime figures computer have the answers?
How does anybody outside of Tsukiko
Yeah.
have any answers about Tsukiko?
Nobody.
You know what?
It's a
the
weird-
only way I can make it can make sense because if you watch
Please make it make sense, Mikey.
So because everybody's so interconnected, right? There's that one thread through everyone else. Because even when the comic book guy, if you look at his desk, he was making each character.
He was making them all. You're right.
right. So
Which was also a little weird.
very weird.
Yeah.
Right. So that I'm that's the only way I can make that like make sense in my brain is that there was a thread that connected them all that just led all the way back to Tsukiko.
Because this would be like a figurative, like metaphorical, like
Thread.
metaphysical
Yeah, metaphysical
type
kind of
thread.
Yeah.
So
I
not
get
a
what
real
you're
thread.
saying.
No,
it
no.
just wasn't
Right.
given to you.
No.
No.
You have to stretch to get there.
Big
Yeah,
time.
You have to really stretch, man.
Dude, I only made that up now.
Well done, Mikey. Excellent work.
Thank you.
I'm not being facetious. I'm impressed because I have nothing. Yeah.
Because when I originally watched this, I just kind of accepted it. I was like, oh, okay, that's where we're going. Cool.
Yeah, you're good at that and telling people to do that.
Yeah, very
No,
much
I was
so.
a little upset at the knowledge some people had about different things.
Yeah. Plot armor.
So
Yeah.
what we find out through the horny anime figures in their computer is that Moromi is actually Tsukiko's original dog. And the dog was, at this point, we think, attacked by a dude with a baseball bat,
Yes.
which is a similar MO to Little Slugger. And the dude ends up, the detective, after he is plugged into the computer and gains this knowledge, goes and finds Tsukiko's dad and finds the original baseball bat and picks it up, and it becomes a sword. And now he's in the game again, still, even more so now than ever.
And the game like outfit that he has is just so fucking weird.
So lame, dude.
You know what it looks like? It looks like
It
those
kills
like
the nerd in you, eh?
yeah. It looks like those outfits that like in episode 1 of Star Wars, like.
Now you're talking my language.
Yeah, like the you know those weird
Jar
like,
Jar Binks.
no, not Jar Jar, like but the big robes and like the weird flat brim like
The Chancellors?
Okay,
Yeah,
Chancellors,
yeah,
the
yeah.
Chancellors. Yeah, like
You know
yeah.
them.
Yeah, I know them.
No nose, fish face.
Yeah.
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 It-
From the
that's-
Trade Federation.
Yeah, that's right.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
It does look like them.
Looks exactly like that.
It's pretty weird. Okay, so in this episode now, we're back with Tsukiko, and her coworker or boss or something is freaking the fuck out on her for not having a new character. He's legitimately
Yeah.
losing it, yelling at her. He
grabs
He's
her.
manic. Yeah, he grabs her. She gets out of the car. He crashes and dies.
Yes, good for him. though.
Immediately, she runs up to him, and Little Slugger's there. So what? Did Little Slugger kill him too? Somehow by making him have a car accident?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think that was.
I don't know.
That was the stretch of hey, I'm distracted driving.
Does this show make us stretch?
Not this show.
No. So the detective shows up on the scene with his sword, which he then uses to slice Little Slugger up to bits to try and save Tsukiko. But it's not helpful because Little Slugger just reforms himself. Then Tsukiko's running away.
Well, before that, you missed the fact that there's this black blob.
That hasn't happened yet.
Oh no,
That's
I thought it was
about to
after.
happen. No,
Okay.
that's next episode.
Yeah,
Because Tsukiko at this point is running and she runs into the other detective in his weird Twilight Zone Pleasantville world. And now she's in there, right?
Yeah.
And then when she pops into that world, Lil Slugger disappears in the middle of fighting the detective. And all the Moromis disappear from the world in that same moment.
From
Yeah.
the human world, yeah.
Because Moromi was like, there's no shonen bat here. I'm
Yep.
going to protect you. You know, this is his world.
And she believes him. And so it's true. So Moromi's gone. Lil Slugger's gone. Black goo appears.
Yes.
This is where it happens.
Yeah.
So yeah, black goo is just murdering everyone in the world.
Yes.
I don't know why. Explain this to me in the metaphor. Why does Tsukiko getting better make everyone else die?
So it's not so much that she got better. It's just that she escaped the
Yeah.
reality, and within the actual reality, all that was left was that metaphysical, psycho power that just manifested. It didn't have a form anymore because it wasn't shown in back because she
Sure.
wasn't there
Yeah.
to give it form.
Yeah.
Right through her story.
But why is that more dangerous?
Well, because now it's not focused. It's just out of control.
I also would understand that, like, if Moromi leaves and that's what everybody's running to for that momentary comfort,
Okay.
now they don't have even that momentary comfort. Now that energy is existing in the world and en masse.
Yeah,
Okay.
en masse and
Yeah.
on chaos.
Everyone's on withdrawal symptoms.
Yeah, so it's all
Yeah.
come to a head. All the levees have broken.
All right. Yeah.
They were bad levees,
Okay.
but they're broken now.
All
And
right.
now it's just chaos.
Interesting.
I don't like it either. I think it's sloppy and messy, but like I'm just saying, I think that's
just make it black goo.
I think that's the idea here.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so the detective's wife is injured. Well, okay, so Tsukiko's in the Twilight Zone with the detective. His wife is like injured and like shows up at the hospital. I don't know how she got hurt. Was she sick and dying?
Well, she was already
Was
sick
she?
and
Okay.
dying. Like we find out in her first appearance. That,
Okay.
Right. That let's accept the reality as it is kind of thing.
She needed like an expensive procedure, I think.
Okay, so she gets basically dragged into the hospital on a stretcher, and the dead Santa Claus, who's dead, we know, kind of like helps transition her to the afterlife. Except on her way to the afterlife, she shows up in the Pleasantville world and convinces the other guy to like come out of it. Okay, she snaps him out of his trance. So now he, all of a sudden, now being of right mind again, grabs Tsuchiko and is like, we need to get the fuck out of here. And he's dragging her. They're running from the goo. She drops her Moromi, which is the last one, and runs back to get it. But now it's a real dog. And now she stops to pick it up, and everyone gets swallowed up by goo, including her, including the detective, whatever. And suddenly we're snapped into the real scene from her memory.
Yes.
And this is where we get the actual backstory on how Moromi, the real Moromi, died. She faked the little slugger attack. It was her fault. She let go of the leash for a second. Moromi ran in the street, got hit by a car. She couldn't take it.
Yeah.
But the show just had to give us a dead dog scene.
Had to.
This show had to give us a dead dog.
Brutal one too, with lots of blood.
That
and,
was,
like,
that was
we
a
needed
rough
that.
one.
We needed it.
for anybody who's sensitive out there. Like, there's a little bit of a warning for you if you're gonna go watch this one.
I think even just in general, like if you're listening to us and thinking about watching this anime, there's just a lot of
It's a heavy one.
heavy topics.
Yeah.
It's funny to say that at this point in our review and not up top.
Yeah, up top.
I care way more about dog
Yeah.
I do.
well-being than human well-being.
Always.
So
Fair.
this is the most horrific it's gotten.
I don't agree. I care about both well-beings, but
I
I'm
understand
team
what you're
human.
saying, but like I totally understand, and I agree, obviously. But I just mean generally.
Yeah.
with
It's harder to watch sometimes.
Humans die in movies and TV. I don't give a fuck, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if a dog dies,
You're
like
John Wick.
my day is ruined.
Yeah.
You're John
Big
Wick.
time ruined. Dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
I go on doesthedogdie.com every single time I watch a movie.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was real, but hey
It's a-
guys, doesadogdie.com is real.
Doesthedogdie.com for a full list and categorization of all of the animal death in a movie, detailed out as well, so you can determine if it's too much for you or not.
Someone's
Highly
doing the
recommend
Lord's
it.
work out there.
Wow, yeah.
Absolutely.
Someone out there is doing the Lord's
That
work.
is that is a lot of work too
It
to
is.
do that. To
Someone really
compile
cares.
that archive.
Some people really care, but then there's also a lot of oversensitive parents out there because Does the Dog Die doesn't just include animal death, it also includes use of drugs
Okay.
and weapons and basically every triggerable thing to either sensitive people or overprotective moms
Okay.
Yeah.
is listed on that website. But
Check it out.
top result is always Does
Hey.
the Dog Die?
Today's episode is brought to you by doesadogdie.com.
And if you're listening to us, please sponsor us.
It's not. We
Anyways,
don't-
the dog definitely
The
does
dog
die. in
dies,
this.
okay, absolutely,
Yeah.
100%. And in the memory that we're in, the grown-up Tsuchiko shows up. She's standing there next to the child version of herself, and she like kind of like interjects herself in between the moment where the kid would make up the story, and instead of making up the story, she picks the dog up and hugs the dead dog,
Yeah.
honoring it, honoring the truth of what's happening, which
Accepting it.
yeah, in a metaphor, it's a metaphor for her dealing with her shit and
Yeah.
reconciling her trauma.
Yes.
right.
Okay, as
But
a
it's
result,
like the other thing too, though, is like how fucked up do you have to be to feel so unsafe to go to your parents to tell them what happened?
oh yeah,
You know?
yeah,
Right, like-
that's got to be a bit cultural, and I'm not talking necessarily just Japanese.
No,
but like
yeah.
you know,
It's
some
very-
families, some upbringings,
Yeah.
you can't take that shit to your parents.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I would be in the same position as her
Yeah.
growing up with my family.
Real quick, did we ever get any insight on her mom?
No, actually.
Because that adds an extra layer of complexity because the reason she drops the leash is actually due to a menstrual cramp.
Oh really?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh.
Which is another layer of maybe something that she didn't feel she could go to her dad about and
Guys.
explain to her dad.
Yes.
Periods kill dogs.
That's what Satoshi Kon wants us to take away from this.
Period bad.
Therefore, zoom in on condom
There's
machine.
been a condom machine. We did it. We solved it.
But it definitely adds a layer of like, you know, her not being able to go to her dad about what actually
Yeah.
happened. Because I'm sure even if she did explain it to him, he wouldn't accept that or understand.
No, he had to be a rigid, kind of like harsh kind of man in order for that to be the way that goes down, right?
I mean, like I said, man, like Asian families, a lot of corporal punishment is the way they discipline, right? They don't know how to really teach your kid how to express their feelings or like communicate in a way, or just even like sit down and be like, hey, what's going on?
Yeah.
Right. Like it's very much so obedience is how you show respect.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So
Somehow we skipped over while all this was going on. The like little cartoony Maroney was constantly like trying to get her not to deal with her shit.
Yeah.
Constantly trying to drag her away. Be like, no, don't deal with your shit. Don't go into that Twilight Zone with that detective. Like, stay with me.
Well, obviously, because it wants you to. That's how it stays alive.
Exactly.
Right?
But that's not how the show goes down.
No, but depression is like that, right?
Yeah.
Like it wants to thrive.
Yeah.
And in those moments.
And whatever you latch onto to like self-medicate is not always the right word, but whatever you latch onto, to deal with your shit, you can't. That's not letting go of you.
Yeah.
That's the thing you've chosen. It's got you.
Yeah. It's your vice. Yeah.
There
Exactly.
You go. Yeah. Okay, so she's dealt with her shit, and as a result, Little Slugger and all the goo are gone forever. Forever. And I have a question, but like, and I don't think there's an answer, but like, why was it her trauma that was the form in which everyone else's trauma was manifesting?
Yeah.
Why was she
the catalyst?
Why was her shit the shit that made that we saw everyone else's shit through? You know what I mean?
Because it's got to start somewhere.
I guess. I was waiting for what I would have liked to see, maybe, I don't know, is for it to have been her to have been Little Slugger. For her shit to have manifested in her growing up and she became some serial killer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That would have been cool.
Like, that's an ending that makes all this stuff tied together in a good way.
Yeah.
And still feels like Satoshi Kon.
And still feels like Satoshi Kon, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's not how it ended. So
No.
instead, there's like a happy ending. She ends up coming up with a new character. It's a cat, of fucking course.
Yes.
It's a little cat. And then we see at the very end, the younger detective is now the old man writing on the floor. Mm-hmm. And that's the end.
That's the end.
We did it.
Yep.
Oh, man. That was a fucking ride.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, Jordy, what do you give it?
I gave it a 6 out of 10.
You know what? I'm not mad at that.
Wow. Okay. Usually you're really mad when I give scores like that.
No, I'm not mad at that.
Okay. I mean, really, the problem is that like it was a fine watch. It just was janky and like I was really struck by the fact that when I went back to watch those last couple episodes, I literally couldn't remember a fucking thing. Nothing sunk in with me, and I think that's a good a good descriptor for how this show lands. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah. And what about you, Jay?
Yeah, I don't know. I think I've summed it up a million times now about how I feel about this, but there is such a thing as too much of a good thing.
Yeah.
I love Satoshi Kon. I love his style and his storytelling, but to me, this was just too much all in one go. And I would rather watch Perfect Blue 13 times in a row than sit down and watch this ever again, personally.
Yeah.
It's not to say that you guys shouldn't watch it if you're a huge Satoshi Kon fan. If you're dying for just more Satoshi Kon, you're gonna get it with this. You're gonna get tons of it with this. But I think that so far of the stuff we've covered from him, the stuff I've personally seen from him, this is my least favorite thing that I've seen him make.
Yeah.
So I'd give this a 7.
7? That's actually a lot higher than I thought you were going to give it.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, dude, like
Still Satoshi Kon.
Yeah.
there was so much that I liked about this. Like we were, like I said, up until episode around 5 or 6, I was fucking in on this, man. I was stoked on this.
Yeah.
And then there was still some cool shit right towards the end that I just think would have hit me harder if it had felt like an actual twist and not something that I had been predicting for 4 or 5 episodes, or not predicting, but just ready for. Because I was ready for the twists and turns and the psychological manifestation shit. Like they gave me multiple episodes to settle into that. So it just doesn't get me the same.
You were too prepared. It's not like fucking, Grave of the Fireflies where it tells you, hey.
Why we gotta talk about Grave of the Fireflies again, man?
That hits you right from the first scene.
Why you gotta do that to me again now?
But listen to me, okay?
The man buys a jar of fruit drops the other day.
Yeah.
And puts it in his kitchen and goes, hey, look at that.
Okay, but listen, it's this is what I'm talking about. It gives, like, Grave of the Fireflies gives you the ending at the beginning. You know what's about to happen, right? And you're still not prepared for it.
Yeah.
Right? Like, where this one, it gives you pretty much what's going to happen, but you are prepared for it.
It just
In a
sets up a
weird
metaphor,
way.
and then it just continues to tell you stories of that metaphor over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And just not in a clean way.
Yeah.
I love shows and movies that have all these interweaving plots and they all come together in some spectacular finale. I mean, Guy Ritchie movies are some of my favorite movies.
Sure.
He does that a lot as well, right? I love that shit. But if you don't nail that, you have a total mess on your hands.
What we didn't have in this is a frogs are falling from the sky moment from Magnolia.
We did have a frog man though.
We did have a frog man who can tie a fucking cherry.
Yeah.
What's your rating,
Can
Mikey?
you guys do that? Have you ever tried to do that?
No.
Can we try?
No.
Yeah.
Mikey, what's your rating?
I actually give this a 6.5.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. All right.
Only because I do love Satoshi Kon.
But you hate this.
But I don't hate this.
I know, I'm teasing.
It really what it came down to is just like you, Jordy. Is just that I forgot entirely about that episode with the Stepford Wives. I forgot entirely about that episode of whatever it was. Like
There are a bunch of forgettable things.
there was a bunch of forgettable episodes. Like if it was like I said at the beginning of this episode with like those, you had the multiple personality disorder, the cop, and the daughter, that would have been fine,
Yeah.
right? And then go into to the actual like story, and then I would have found it awesome. But a lot of it was just forgettable for me.
And a bunch of great ideas and a bunch of bad execution.
Yeah.
Didn't Mikey say he wanted more at the beginning of this
Yeah, he
episode?
did. He was like, I could have used more.
I wanted him to cram it more in.
Yeah, I could have used a couple more stories.
Okay. No. Sorry.
You did say that, though.
Okay, yes, I did. Yes, I did. I'm going to fucking qualify this right now.
Okay.
I think what I was trying to say is that I wanted more of those particular stories to be fleshed out, right? And then
Yeah.
go into that.
I back
agree.
that then.
I
back
agree.
that then.
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
previous understanding, I really didn't back, but that I backed.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah, definitely. Totally.
Okay.
Okay.
That's it, guys. We did it.
Oh, wait,
Yeah.
what's the mouse score?
I knew you were gonna ask it.
You have no-
I even was polite enough not to ask you first
Yeah.
You're
before
right.
giving my score.
I just don't understand the
needs to know.
fascination, but
He needs to know.
I need to know what the people think.
I hate the people,
Yeah.
and I don't care what they think. They have bad taste.
You guys heard that?
Yeah, the people have bad taste.
I mean,
This is a 7.7 on my anime list.
okay. I agree
wow.
with Jay. The people have bad taste.
Don't listen to him, guys. I love you. Come back. All right, Jordy, where can people find you?
I'm back on social media because I couldn't stay away.
Hey,
Nice.
At Reaching In on Instagram.
So
Say
I can
hi.
finally like spam all the crazy stuff that I've been spamming everybody else with.
You can spam me. I may or may not watch it all. But yeah.
right
Okay,
on.
what about you, Jordy or Jay?
I'm at hanger.91 on Instagram and hanger91.bigcartel.com.
Yes, and you guys can find me at Shmanime Pod.
What?
Yeah,
The remix.
Nice.
Yeah. Shmanime Pod on TikTok, Instagram. Come join the Discord. It's a lot of fun there. And actually, it's only fun when Jordy's there, I guess.
I've
The star of
I've
the
actually
show.
looked
Star
on the
of the
Discord in a
show.
while. I'm going to
Yeah.
chime in today and see what people have to say about me.
But yeah, come join.
Yeah, it's a
come
good time.
say a few words. I'll say hi. But yeah, and join us next time because we are covering Tokyo Revengers.
Fucking right.
Season 2. Fucking A, boys.
I'm pumped.
Fucking A.
Yeah, bro.
All right.
All right.
Love you guys. Bye.
Okay, bye.
Hewlett.